Hey guys, well, today's the big day, and so I wanted to just record a video because it's probably easier than typing a bunch of stuff. So I wanted to just record a video to tell you a little bit about this journey that we've been on. So, as you know, we have a business that's called All American Tire Recycling. We started this business, actually, it's 10 years and 6 months ago. It was never kind of supposed to be, we were supposed to both be in medicine. I was a nurse and Tom was in pharmaceutical sales. However, he was unemployed, and he was home with the three kids, and he was nearing that 6 or 8 month mark as far as looking for a job. So he went to help a buddy with his tire shop. It was a mechanic shop, and he couldn't figure out how to get rid of the tires. So he came home and he was really excited. He goes, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but we should start a tire business." And I'm like, "Well, you're unemployed, so like we have nothing to lose." So we kind of thought this was just going to be a side hustle until he found a regular job. We started with $3,500. We pulled the last bit out of our 401k, and we bought a box truck. And we didn't have any experience in this. We didn't have any roadmap. We just faith, grit, and a willingness to figure it out. So in the beginning, I worked as a nurse to support our family while Tom started building the business. He put the pen to the paper and came up with a plan, went out and got customers. I would work on the weekends, and then we would go during the week and pick up tires together. We basically went from professional jobs in the medical field to nitty gritty, like blue collar, covered in dirt, bruises, exhausted laborers. um, we had sprains, we had back injuries. I broke my hand at one point, but we kept going. We both got our CDLs. I got mine first, actually, and we spent the whole summer driving around in our semi truck because we figured out that was a better way to get larger amount of tires. I had the permit, and I had the driver's license, and he had a permit, and so our kids, our two girls, spent the entire summer in the back of the truck with us as we really learned how to drive a semi truck, which is a lot harder than you would imagine. But between determination and YouTube, it can be done. That was temporary though, and it kept growing. We got more customers, there was more demand and more opportunity. Then it came to our first big turning point. The larger company had bought out a smaller company that we would take our tires to have them processed. You can't just throw tires in the landfill. You have to like shred them. And so we would take them to a place, and that was no longer an option. So we had to decide, are we going to do this as an actual business, or are we going to put our work shoes up? So we decided that we were going to go ahead and do it. And so we decided to buy a shredder. And so that took us down a road we could have never imagined. We ordered a Chinese shredder. It came in about a year late because the guy was kind of shady and he was playing a shell game. And so in the meantime, Tom had to figure out what to do. He got a little tin can shredder and two post office boxes, conveyor belts, and welded them together. And that's how we started with that first little bitty shredder. The second shredder we found was in Mexico. We went down to Laredo, Mexico together. And it was very sketchy, and they were trying to extort money out of us to get it across the border. We had 150,000 at stake at that point, and we graciously found a gentleman who could help us, a broker who could get us across, and he drove it home with no overweight permits. The semi truck was so small, he had to go so slow because he couldn't get up the hill with it, but he made it. I had to fly home so I could get to the kids. But at that moment, I knew we were going to be on to the next one because about 6 months later, our Chinese shredder arrived. I knew I could quit my job at that point at the hospital to help build our business. And the very next day after I quit my job, gear broke on the shredder, and it was just devastating. So many days were like this. They were filled with tears, hard work, changes, and we had no backup plan, no safety net, just each other. And so we had to figure out. And honestly, without God, He really truly kept pushing us in the direction and opened doors. we would not have made it. So we kept going. We knew if we were going to survive, we had to become more than transporters, and we had to actually create a product. So Tom went out and found a partner. Tom went out to find a partner in one of the cement plants. And so with their help and our first SBA loan, which we had to go through 7 banks, right? Because nobody wants to give you money when you don't have money, but we wouldn't take no for an answer. So we were able to purchase our first big shredder. That way we could sell the product on the back end. We had the money for the building and the land. So that's the moment everything changed. For a brief moment, we caught our breath, but the real challenge was next, was 2 years later when we built the crumb line. Much harder product to make, and it was a much more complex process, but ultimately it allowed us to scale into what we are today. Behind all of this was us. Tom was the visionary. He was the one who could see what this business would become. I wanted to quit so many times. I was the operator. I would take those ideas and build the structure, the people, and make all the systems work. The business demand was more about endurance, stamina, and emotional strength than I ever had imagined. Many days started with tears, weeks filled with being overwhelmed, and moments where I felt like this would never end. Like we were never going to get to the next part, and everything wasn't going to be on fire. Our kids sacrificed. We missed things. We showed up late, dirty, distracted. We weren't always able to attend everything we wanted to for them, and that's something that we carry. We face real risks. We've had several fires, truck accidents, employee injuries, lawsuits, the kinds of moments that remind you just how close you come to losing everything. In 2022, I hit my breaking point. I just couldn't do it anymore. I had a small breakdown. The growth from 20 employees to over 50 was just more than I could carry personally. And so once again, Tom stepped in. He took me to Hot Springs, Arkansas, gave me some space to reset, and we came back and ready to fight another year. That year and a half, I looked for leaders that could help me really grow the business to where it needed to go, because I understood that I wasn't that person. That year led us to Paul, who has become the leader we desperately needed. So he brought structure, professionalism, and strength to our operators. He helped us become the company we always envisioned. And along the way, something even more meaningful happened. Our employees became our family. We didn't just build a business, we built lives together. We celebrated birthdays, babies, weddings. We helped get cars. We opened our homes when they needed. We laughed together. We struggled together. We grew together. One of the greatest joys has been watching people grow into themselves, from seeing someone who's unsure, lacking confidence, and watching them transform into some highly skilled mechanic. I'm speaking about Richard specifically. Watching my brother come not having any leadership skills, and watching him grow into a leader who now runs the plant by himself. And those moments and all the hardship made it worth it. And of course, we had wins. In 2020, we won Small Business of the Year for Fort Worth. We made it through COVID. We kept growing. In 2023, Tom was a finalist for Entrepreneur of the Year. He did not win, but in 2024, we tried again and we did it together and we won. So that's when I really, truly realized that we are a team. Today, as we close this chapter, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm grateful for every employee, every customer, every partner who believed in us, people like the Delgados and Star Tire who stood by us from the very beginning, people who saw our heart, our intention, and chose to grow with us. Our amazing lawyer, Dave Dunn. And now we step into the next chapter. So Tom will be leading all of Texas for this national company, bringing everything we built to a bigger stage and continuing to grow, innovate, and make an impact in tire recycling across the state. And me, well, I get to step back and I get to just be Tom's assistant, um, which I will always be here to help him with whatever he needs. But I get time to breathe, spend time with my family, to reflect, and just slow down a little bit. This journey has been one of the hardest things we've ever done. It's also been the most meaningful, and I wouldn't change it for a single moment.